to you, and welcome to the Paladins Console League. My name is Gormizer, and we have an action-packed day for you in store. But to help me get through this first segment, as well as to dissect some of these matches that we're going to see throughout the day, I'm going to introduce my buddy Kresnik sitting on the desk with me.
I like this.
Am I dissecting?
That's
actually the scientific way to dissect. If you're in like science class right now,
I'm very glad
to dissect a frog, you do this.
I'm very glad I was not in your biology class.
Well, it was just me. Everyone else got like little knives and little things. I just, I don't know. Maybe the teacher didn't like me. Either way, it's going to be an interesting day to come through once again. A lot of these teams are kind of fighting for their first place spot, and some regions are fighting in general for everything. But we have the schedule for today that we can go ahead and look at so we know what specifics we're going to be looking at. And it's going to be Aerial Arise and Aaron Manor, the first one to go up. Flashpoint and Stush going offline for today. And I swear if Flashpoint lose a map, I'm going to be interested in that. Bust Down and Effect is going to be offline for Xbox Europe. Cyclone going to be playing against Vroom Vroom. Last time I believe Vroom Vroom even winning that matchup, so that's going to be an interesting one. Onslaught, StreamX, and then later in the day, Cats on Mars and Wasted Potential. A lot of interesting ones. Right now, I think Xbox Europe is kind of where everyone's eyes are, just because with Cyclone having lost a set now, no one really knows what's going to happen. I think 3 teams have kind of taken sets off of each other, whereas everywhere else has a definitive one, right? And looking at the region we're going to first, it's been Flashpoint. They kind of dominate this region. They really don't lose too often, and I think the standings right now will say that. They're 3-0. I believe last time they only lost 2 total maps with a plus-minus 34. But our eyes should be turning towards that 2 and 3 spot because that's the matchup today.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of the battle for second place. I mean, last time these teams played, we didn't get to see the game, but Aaron Manor took it 3-1, I believe. So could be interesting. Aerial Arise have shown they can fight it out. They were able to take that map last time, and I believe they were second place last phase, too.
Yes.
So, they've shown they can beat this team, and now that Aaron Manor are kind of resurging, it's interesting to see how Aerial Arise are gonna take this and try to kind of fight back after week 2.
And that's the interesting thing. I mean, Aerial Arise was one of those teams, again, that was very consistent in their second place. Like, they gave Flashpoint some trouble. Obviously not enough to be able to take them down, but enough to make the matches interesting when they were playing. And for the most part, there was no contest between second and third, second and fourth during the first phase of this year. But this time, Aaron Manor has been a little bit more consistent. Of course, if you look at them, you have Ernest Gedden, you have IT, both players who have been on for a while. Whereas the only one who's really stayed from last phase to this phase was Alex Kidd on Aerial Arise. And he's still making huge splashes when it comes down to the play that he's bringing, but it's not been enough on just his own. So today's going to be kind of the question is, what can they do together?
Yeah, and it's definitely, they're definitely not looking as good as they did last time. I mean, they were against Stush, a team that was able to take maps off of Flashpoint last time, but they won 3-2, I believe, against Stush before. So, again, they have to find something that was working for them, maybe get that synergy that they had, or try to rebuild the synergy that they had last phase and take that moving forward. So, again, I want to see how they can do it.
I think that's going to be kind of the question of the day is what exactly they can do and what exactly they can accomplish. Map bands are going to be coming through. Frog Isle and Ascension Peak going to be the first 2. And then the second 2 popping up, Serpent Beach and Stone Keep. So a lot of kind of standard maps taken out, which does open my mind to the more fringe picks. Ascension Peak is one that would normally come to my mind, but I think it was taken off as well. So you're looking at like Warder's Gate still being available, some of these other ones that
Bizarre.
Don't typically come up first.
Yeah, and with Serpent Beach, maybe they'll try to stay away from vertical maps, and Jaguar Falls. Well, they didn't ban Jaguar Bright. We're going to see both of them more than likely, but Jaguar...
As the first 2 maps.
Yeah, very standard map, very flat. A lot of things can be run on it, so some teams like it because to start off a set, if you have kind of a pocket strategy you can pull out that no team is expecting, it's the most flexible map to have those kind of things in your pocket to pull out.
This has been the fun one. So the last few weeks, even though this is probably one of the maps that I would argue, flanks are good on just as normal.
Yeah, of course.
But also if you add a Torvald to them, they become incredible on Jag Falls. This is one of the few maps that I feel like we've seen Torvald not picked or banned on several times. You can see Dayra, Victor, Talus, and Atlas. Talus Atlas is a very, it's almost tongue twister.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically the same letters. It's just a U. One U in Talus, but not surprising bans-wise. Vivian's still up, and Vivian going to be taken by Aaron Manor, so that's a pretty strong counter, I think, so far to start against Torv as well. Having Makoa to hook the target or the Torvald themselves, and Vivian to kind of burn through that shielding if they decide to do that. So decent damage boost counter, at least to start coming out from Aaron Manor.
This is a very impressive start. I feel like a lot of teams we've seen, And, you know, a couple of them come to mind, like Dreams specifically is a support that does this. Focuses on Genos primarily. Like, they almost instantly grab them up.
Yeah.
Whereas in matches like this, like, I could cover up Aaron Manor's name, kind of change their color. That's the beginning to a Flashpoint draft as well, where it's just Makoa, Vivian. Two things that are going to be very strong when you have the Dayra and the Victor banned away. Vivian kind of skyrockets, I think, in her taste, I guess, overall, and what she's going to be able to accomplish, her palpability for the game. Whereas Makoa, I mean, in the right hands, just demol. Like, he wins games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the whole point of him, right? Like, good players hitting a hook on a good team, it's a kill every time.
True.
And usually you're like, oh, my ult will be a guaranteed kill, but hook's on like a 12-second cooldown or something along those lines. It's very short, so getting that constantly is such an impactful thing to bring into this fight. And Makoa, Vivian, Grover, and Gnar, that's a pretty good death ball composition. That's a comp that's going to move together, get picks. So the Barrack Con coming out for them, tanks with kind of discrete, immediate survivability. It's going to be good to counter that, but if they can't burn through picks on Iron Monitor, they're going to completely flip that.
This kind of feels like it's superfluous to mention because it's been this way for a little while, but because Grover can heal through walls as well, this is like one of the best maps where it's just like, cool, if you're on point, you're on statue side, as long as I stand in this middle, theoretically I hit everybody if I have the right radius going for it. But hey, Koga locked in at the very end there. It's been a while since I've gotten treated to a Koga, but Console always makes him look good, and it's going to be fun to see him here as we go into Jaguar Falls, and for that, you have to jump down to the casters to get this game started.
Thank you guys for the desk. Really, really appreciate that. I'm here, Fawn, with Dave, Dolson, the man.
Yeah.
Welcome, my friend. Welcome. Happy Monday, everybody.
That's right. Happy Monday.
For joining us on Jaguar Falls, the first game of the Paladins Console League. Really, really excited to get this started.
Should be a lot of fun to jump into. These two teams relatively close as far as standings go. And the drafts themselves all looking good, top to bottom. Makoa, haven't seen too much Koga, Adrenaline Junkie. A little energy restoration when you're shooting with those machine guns. Cyclone Strike, I believe it was his ultimate rate got touched up a little bit. So, I mean, he certainly has his merits in the console league. I think he fits just fine here. Aaron Monitor probably looking to fight sort of as a big death ball around that Grover here, and Koga can certainly make that work when that ultimate's up.
Yep, I saw the hook happen. The silhouette for Barrack just immediately got pulled directly to Makoa. He does actually find the kill. Koga's waiting around a little bit on the flank, trying to see if he can find some opening damage at all, but unfortunately for them, the game has been paused by Mr. Faded for the Koga, which is very interesting. I mean, at first they were starting off really, really well. I mean, like, clearly they got the first blood. They managed to kill the Barrack on Jaguar Falls, which was good. Their point tank's gone. The rest of Aerial Arise had actually moved over to the side on the flank, tried to see if they can get something going, but since Barrack is gone, it's going to change a lot.
Yeah, and especially with the composition that Aaron Monitor have built out, you have a Makoa now just freestanding on the point.
Right,
They had, I believe, 30 to 40% by the time that the game was paused out. The 4v5 advantage, and now you look at how they can take advantage of the number disparity, if they can maybe steamroll that into something a little bit heavier. I mean, just those small advantages, good teams can really take advantage of that. 54% is where they come out to. Barrack will be coming back into the fight here, though. Along this back side, Aaron Monitor kind of have him zoned out.
Oh, man. Zoned it is for sure. The rest of Aerial Arise is not really following up. Barrack is by himself in this choke point, really, and they're just grouping up. Death Ball was a perfect way to put it, because you see this? They haven't moved. They've been on the point. They've been right behind the Inara, right behind the Grover, right behind the Makoa, and they're just literally just playing, their whole team's playing backline support to the Inara. They can't really find a way in, and you already see Paraslay trying to go one-on-one with this Koga, but he's not going to be able to find anything.
Yeah, this Koga's kind of been tearing throughout the first part of this game. Likely going to add another kill for himself here. VCon is the one who ends up dropping there. They look to still get aggressive here. This payload actually starts moving very quickly as they move into the base. 0 kills total for Aerial Arise on the opposite side. Ernest, despite having no kills, has 4 assists. I mean, of the 6 kills that are on the board for Aaron Monitor, the Vivian's had her hand in 4 of them. So good 66% margin there. One more rocket will deal with that Vivian. But as long as they stay around this Grover, the Vivian has time to wind up. You know, you're looking good. Overpowered doesn't work out there, and Aaron Monitor moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. 2 kills for them on the red side. And Lightman is up. Dragon Punch is there. Koga using his own ultimate to make sure that he can at least not only give himself some immunity, but make sure he can at least find some damage so the rest of his team can push in comfortably. Pushing in they are. The Dragon Punch does come through, though. He's trying to find somebody to get something started, but all of them literally just back off. They heard the Dragon Punch start up, and they gave him the respect.
Gonna have to turn around and back off. They throw out through time and space as well. That's a perfect hook in there onto Cod Riser. Down to the low ground goes the Leon. It's gonna be Grover who ends up finding that one. So now you're at a 4v5 again. They might just start tossing some ultimates out. Whirlwind most notably, and this payload might go in.
Yeah, for sure. The battle shot will give himself a little bit more of immunity. Khan's really just stuck here on the side against Koga, against Makoa. The rest of Aaron are just pushing in, wiping it up, cleaning it up. 2-0 against Aerial Arise in this case. They're gonna have to find something to get it started, but just take a look at the replay.
Yeah, and this is just the control that Aaron Monitor bring out. You can see Aerial Arise all forced back into this room behind the midpoint here, and that's on the back of just one kill at the beginning. You noted that the Barrack is gone. Barrack Genos is a very sneaky, damaging stack, so getting rid of the Barrack to begin with actually eliminates a good bit of damage, especially when you consider the frontline control going up against a Makoa, going up against an Inara. You need that Barrack presence, and then once that goes away, the control just so firmly in favor of Aaron Monitor at that point. They just kind of overtake the mid, overrun the rest of the map. I believe Aerial Arise had 0% on the point. And then you look at the end fight there, you know, a whiffed overpower, a missed Dragon Punch, one that really just got turned back on, a hook that pulled Cod Riser down, got rid of the Leon. Nothing really hitting for Aerial Arise towards the end of that one. And Aaron Monitor sitting pretty at 2 points.
Look at where they're standing right now. Once again, I said the whole team was playing backline DPS for the Inara, and I was right. You just see them immediately. Seismic Crash to follow through to see if they can get something going, and they do. Ancient Rage just popped almost immediately, make sure they can get the kill on Leon, and they do find a double kill for Mr. Nick there on the Makoa. He is looking for the Barrack as well, but he goes down to the Koga Paraslay, trying to find some rockets. Can't find anything to really get him started. Dragon Punch and Overpower are available, and Lightning coming up soon, but I don't know if it's going to be enough with 93% on the point.
Yeah, I mean, you get 35% because of the fast cap, but the power of Makoa shines through here on this first mid-fight. You just pop the Ancient Rage, you run down a couple members of Aerial Arise. In the meantime, you have an Inara chilling on the point. And that's really all she wrote here in this case. And even with fast cap, Aerial Arise only getting to, you know, the mid-30s. Another kill going the way of Grover through time and space, over 2 here in this game. If you're looking now at the defense, especially with the Enlightenment missing. Into the Cyclone Strike, well played, quick reactions there from Quick Faded. Finally, the Overpower is gonna hit here. 1 kill is all Aerial Arise have to hang their hat on. As Aaron Monitor around this final corner. They have 2 kills total in this game. I mean, at some point you just got to say they're getting outplayed, and I think we've reached that point.
Yeah, I think we have indeed. 1-5, 1-4, 0-5, 0-2, 0-4. Meanwhile, Aaron Monitor just dusting their hands off, just gladly pushing this payload in with very little contestation coming out from Aerial Arise. Really just unable to do so. Dragon Punch comes out once again, trying to find somebody, but everyone backs up. They do get the kill onto the Jogos, which is going to be big, but Whirlwind is still there, and you haven't dealt with the problem. The Koga's still running free. Inara is still on the point. No damage barely on her, so you're going to see a point where I'm pretty sure they're going to end up pushing this one in.
Yeah, I mean, with a 10 streak on the Koga, a 15 streak on the Vivian, they have not been touched this entire game. Now with Barrack going down, almost certainly, and it is certain, Aaron Monitor pushed that one through, convincing 4-0 from them. The composition, honestly, worked out so well. I mean, I think they are a very good team. They've shown the ability to win some big games so far. Remember, this is now our second run through. Everyone's played each other once, and now we're getting our look at some rematches here. And so, you know, Aaron Monitor really trying to make a statement on this Division 1 that, you know, Flashpoint traditionally controls pretty heavily. And they're doing just that here. A good set of rounds there from them. Good draft. The Koga was a bit of an interesting pick. I think it worked out just fine. 70k damage for Ernest down there on the Vivian. And then, you know, Makoa, I hesitate to look so heavily at the damage charts, but it's an easy sort of indicator. I look at the streaks over there on the right-hand side. You have a 16 streak on your healer, a 16 streak on your Vivian. And there's really King Nick, who just kept kind of rolling in, trying to control that front line. He died probably the most at 1, yeah, technically. But he had the maybe least quote-quote impact KDA-wise. But as far as opening up that door for everyone else to do some work on Aaron Monitor, he certainly did that.
I mean, yeah, the positive slash lines all around for them. Take a look at Quick's faded real quick. See, with the 8-1 and 6. Now, we saw he only had 42,000 damage on the Koga, but you already see the terror that this man was inflicting upon Aerial Arise, forcing so many of them back in the right space at the right time. May have not been getting that much damage, but his slash lines more than enough to prove it. 8-1, really, really good looking for him and the Koga in general. Just his positional awareness, where he was trying to go, what his target was always just in the right spot at the right time, which is what allowed his team to push it.
I think that's pretty important to look at as well, like what his targets were the entire game. I mean, you look at a Vivian, basically, you want Vivian gameplay, you hold down left click and you sometimes zoom in and maybe you'll hit your Q for a shield. So you're guaranteed to do a lot of damage. Of Koga, he's in a weird way like a flanky assassin where he really tries to melt these low health targets. So just by default, you won't have, the same serious damage numbers. There are exceptions where you'll see a Koga just kind of pop off, but he really just wanted to melt the squishies that game.
Right, exactly. First game goes to Aaron Manor in this case. Jaguar Falls is done, but that doesn't mean the rest of the set is. Tune in after this break for game 2.
The Paladins Console League is brought to you by Evil Mojo Games, developers of Paladins.
Well, faster than we were able to finish analyzing it before the game. We have Aaron Manor finishing the game.
Yeah.
That was incredibly fast from them. And honestly, I think it's a story on two fronts. Obviously, everybody did incredibly well, but when you 4-0, it tends to always look that way. But Vivian, I think, was the underlying factor. We watched a little bit of Koga highlights, but she was the one that just blew the damage out of the water.
Yeah, and her damage was high, but she was also shredding shields the whole time. I mean, there was a moment where the Khan was just isolated on the side, and his shield went from 100 to 0 like that. That damage doesn't show up in the chart, so she did even more than the stats would imply.
That's the scary part, because the damage that showed up in the stats was ridiculously high as it was.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you lock in Koga, you got to be feeling pretty confident about Koga, and they showed off exactly that. So Jag Falls in the books, locked down, and, well, Aaron Manor are looking like potentially the very solid number 2 team, depending on how the rest of the set goes. But, I mean, for Jag Falls, and I kind of want to ask you this, when you start off in a 4-0, and you're on a map like Jag Falls that is capable of being 4-0s, are you worried about it going into map 2, or you just kind of say, that was rough, let's just go win our map?
I think it depends a lot on what the map 2 is, because if it's like you're going from Jag to Bright, something like that, then you can maybe transfer that and feel like that would carry over. But Bazaar is a map that is still flat, but very different. I think it's a map we both like a lot.
Yes.
Very open, so a lot of backlines are strong on this map. Any off-tank that can cross a lot of distance is very strong on this map, and I like the pick after coming from that kind of loss.